Well, a very good evening to you. Thanks for clicking on to today's edition of the Vogan'S Views on Europe, the Saturday edition, the 25th. And we've got rain pushing across Scotland today. It's been a pretty miserable day, really, overall, quite cloudy and damp. But we are seeing those heights starting to fall away, and temperatures, although still above normal, has cooled down quite sufficiently compared to what we've seen there back on Thursday. But yeah, all the models are continuing to suggest that we'll see a return of that Azores high, building of heights. Therefore, we'll see a milder air mass overall over the next few days. And could we see temperatures rivaling what we seen on Thursday, 18.7? Yeah, for sure we could. And I'll show you exactly why just now. And many of you probably are asking, why are we seeing such mild conditions? I really do think a lot of it's to do with the very dry conditions across the majority of England, down through France and into northern Spain. And what that's doing is it could actually be enhancing the Azores Ridge this year. Could that have a detrimental effect on the spring and summertime? Well, it remains to be seen. Certainly if we don't get to see a series of wet systems pushing across the southern UK, trying to dent that drought, we could be in for problems later down the road. Wouldn't surprise me if we see widespread hosepipe bans in the coming months, and that, of course, not a guarantee, but that, of course, could lead to a pretty warm period, at least a warm period during the summer, if not a warm summer overall. We haven't seen that, really, folks, since 2006. That was the last warm, dry summer across a large part of the UK. Could we be seeing that this year? That is a big question. Hopefully it's a question I'm going to try and answer in my summer forecast, which will be released on the 31st of March. But here, you can see here for Sunday, the heights are trying to once again rebuild. You notice here, folks, the persistency, and even though we see a flattening of the ridge, we see cooler air pushing in, we still see this high wanting to rebuild back into the UK. That is something that I'm paying attention to for later down the road, and it is something that we may need to be concerned about, especially across England. For Ireland and Scotland, yeah, hosepipe ban is certainly not going to be the top priority of concern. As certainly here we have seen plenty of wet weather, but certainly across the drought-stricken areas it's harder for the atmosphere to bring that rain in, and this could have an impact. So this is by looking by Sunday, and skipping ahead to Monday. You can see here that although you can see as if the heights are trying to push back south again, it's what you see here to the west of the UK that's important. You can see here a strong jet stream, cool to the north of it, warm, very warm in fact here, this little pocket here down to the south, very strong jet stream. What that's going to do is, Monday into Tuesday here, you can see the ridge of high pressure getting pumped once again over the UK, something that we may start to get more familiar with in the coming weeks, and those temperatures well above normal could be something that we need to start getting used to. The problem, folks, at this time of year as we progress into the springtime is that once you start to get warmer temperatures, air temperatures, that actually increases the evaporation rate of the soil. So if you think it's dry now, if this pattern continues like we're seeing this week, we've seen it of course last week, that, folks, could increase the drought severity, and that is a problem. Now once you start to get that pattern locked in place, you get those drier soils more and more, the expanse of the drought could start to increase across England. That, folks, may lead to a very difficult time for the atmosphere to bring that rainfall into the UK, the southern half of the UK. So it's something that's worth paying attention to. The feedback between dry soil and the atmosphere can be quite substantial here. Tuesday into Wednesday, you pay attention to this. Look at the ridge of high pressure centered right over basically the English Channel. What that suggests to me is we're going to be seeing a very warm air mass in place for late February. This is a very warm bubble of air. Now, as well as the air mass being mild, and sufficiently so in the upper levels. You've also got, if you notice here, the ridge of high pressure. The position of the high is important. Because of it being here over the channel, you're going to start to feed those west-southwest winds up into the UK. Those folks are going to enhance the warming effect, especially as they cross over the hills and downslope. As they downslope, they compress that air and, of course, further warm that air. Temperatures, I believe, could potentially, if this takes place, could push 20 Celsius somewhere in England by Tuesday or Wednesday. So that, of course, would break the February record for the UK, which is 19.7 recorded at Greenwich in central London back in 1988. So we could take another run at the February record, and that would be quite incredible. But certainly it's no surprise when you've got drought conditions, these things do take place. You do tend to have that relationship between drought and heat. And of course, we certainly haven't seen much in the way of moisture across England in the past 12 months or so. And of course, that can be, like I say, a concern later down the road. You notice here the pocket of cold air trying to work its way into Central Europe, central and eastern parts of Europe. But let's skip ahead. So we've got mild air, of course, back in control midweek. Looking through by Thursday, you notice the high, folks. We're going to be seeing very mild conditions push into western and central portions of Europe as well. So let's skip ahead with Thursday into Friday. You notice here how mild the majority of central and western Europe is. And we of course see that the core of that high pushing off to the east. What wouldn't surprise me is by next weekend we'll see yet again the repeat performance, that ridge of high pressure flattening out over the UK and then rebuilding back in. We'll keep an eye on this. But certainly we've got a very mild week once again upcoming. Going to continue to try and keep you posted as to what I can see taking place. But certainly models do suggest more very abnormally warm, 10 Celsius above normal across a large part of England. Maybe even getting some of that warmth back up into Scotland as well. But the continuation of the pattern, we'll continue to see whether this progresses into the spring months. Don't automatically start jumping into the idea that we're going to see a hot, dry summer. Things can change, and that's why my forecast isn't until the 31st of March, because I'm wanting to wait and see how the atmosphere starts to evolve from winter into a more spring-like pattern across the hemisphere. Once we progress into the latter part of March, I'll be able to see how the atmosphere is reacting. By then, we may have seen a series of wet systems pushing through the southern half of the UK. That could change everything. So we'll continue to wait and see. Let's not jump into the hype of the pattern, expecting a blowtorch summer. It may not happen that way, folks. But I hope you're having a great weekend, and stay tuned. Bye for now.